man, you're going to fail, a million times. You get knocked down a million, get up. I know that's cliche, but success isn't built in a day. And so you got to keep taking those failures, and every no is one step closer to that yes. So go out there and make your dreams come true. It's out there. You just got to go get it.
Good to go whenever you're ready, Matt. All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining the podcast, man. Alex and I are excited this morning. It's a pleasure to have you on. So just want to say thank you. You are running Slang out in you're in Colorado. Is that correct? Where you live?
I am in Colorado. Yeah, I live in Denver. I'm actually up at Copper Mountain in our condo right now, but originally from Texas. So always good to link up with some fellow Texas boys. And man, let's do it. Appreciate you having me.
Well, you seem to be a really cool business entrepreneur. You're also coaching football. You're from Texas. Yeah. Got a little different approach to you as what I've seen. Just very real, and so we appreciate it, man. And we primarily just talk to entrepreneurs, a lot of real estate investors, but cannabis and weed as well. Would love to kind of go through your background and kind of how you grew up, what you went through to get to where you're at today, and then we'll just jump in with some questions about the company and parts along the way, if that's cool with you.
You bet, man. Well, I'll take you way back to my Texas days. Like I said, born and raised in Texas, was born in Dallas, raised in Arlington, Texas. Went to Texas Tech right out of high school. I was there, I think, 2 years before they told me get the hell out of there. You're not welcome to come back. Yeah, wreck them. So promptly drank my way out of Tech and went back to Arlington, licked my wounds, and kind of got my life together. Got my degree at the University of North Texas, and it just kind of dawned on me that, when you got out of college, I can go live where I want to live. And I'd spent a lot of time in Colorado growing up, as a lot of Texans do. So I decided to come out here. I was a ski bum in Vail for several years, and just down the hill from me where I'm at here, but in Copper. But eventually met a bunch of different guys that had aspirations to be in the cannabis business. And I'm talking like, this is almost 20 years ago, when the cannabis business wasn't a thing, at least wasn't a legal thing. And moved back to Texas. I was there for a couple of years, got married to a wonderful lady who is a high school science teacher. She was down there and now is here as well. And we moved back. We've been here since 2007. And so what kind of happened during that time is you started to see the proliferation of medical dispensaries, primarily in 2009 in the Colorado market. And I wanted to get involved, and my wife, Jen, was just not having any of it. She was, she was like, we just got you out of that whole mess. You were, doing things you weren't supposed to be doing in college. And I finally feel like I've just gotten you cleaned up enough that, I can be proud of you and you're serviceable to me. So the last thing we're going to do is send you right back into that world. And I put the ground and pound on her over a few years and bent her ear, and eventually, she kind of changed her track because it was always predicated on it's illegal. Why in God's green earth would we do something illegal? And then, of course, the voters in 2012 in Colorado changed all that. So she kind of had to pivot her tactics a little bit, but ultimately I ended up joining forces with a group of guys that subsequently became Open Vape and Organa Brands and, all those things. And eventually that company was purchased by Slang. So that's kind of the extended version of how it came to be. But a lot of it was, who right place, right time, and just having an absolutely, radical focus on doing something that I wanted to do. But, cannabis is always something that I've enjoyed, that I've, that's been a big part of my life now for, 2/3 of it. So, just honored and humbled to be at the place we're at now. And who would have thunk it, a long time ago. I remember I was once sitting at a conference in Berlin I was speaking at, and my dad's German. You may have guessed that from the last name Driessen. And we talked, and he's sitting in the front row taking pictures, all this, that, and the other. And one of the questions from the moderator was, what was your first experience with cannabis? And ironically, my first experience with cannabis wasn't a good one. I had gotten a nickel bag from a buddy at school, and it was in an Altoids tin in my desk there in Arlington. He reached in, he was sitting in my room for something, reached in, opened it up to get a mint, and obviously found a surprise. He was the superintendent of schools for an adjacent district. So he just absolutely lost his mind. But then, about 30 years later, maybe 25 years later, here we are sitting in Berlin, and I got thousands of people listening to me talk about weed. So it was kind of a vindication. Told my dad, we've come a long way, Pops. Who'd have thunk it?
That's great, man. And so now you're actually president and CEO of Slang.
That's right.
Can you kind of, and I've been following the space pretty closely for probably like 6 years, partaking cannabis myself, but I'm here in Texas, so a lot of challenges.
You only partake when you come up here, right?
That's right. That's right. It's hard to figure out how to break into the market from Texas. I've actually looked at some dispensaries in Colorado and California, and it's a wild industry, as you probably know better than anybody, because there's a lot of people that, to me, it seems like are, just talking a big game. Then there's the straight business people that have gotten in that know nothing about the flower. You seem to be a mix of both of those things. And Slang is a little complicated to understand just from an investor looking at it. Just to kind of jump in, can you talk basic bullet points about describe Slang and what you do? I know it seems like there's little to no competition, and you have a different model than all the other cannabis companies, and you guys are obviously public. You can buy the stock, so would love to hear a little bit about it.
Yeah, we're publicly traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange. The ticker's SLNG. Slang Worldwide. But you're dead right. In what you just said, it's, I'll kind of unpack that. There's a handful of things in there in your question, but, the cannabis industry is not for the faint of heart, whether that was once upon a time when it was a bunch of cowboys kind of going from the black market to the gray market and subsequently the white market. Since then you saw a huge proliferation of just capital flood into the market. That started way back in, maybe 16, 17, 18 with the Canadian LPs, huge investments coming in, folks like Constellation or Altria, mainstream companies, big alcohol primarily, coming in with big checks, $1 billion plus checks into this industry, which obviously was a huge affirmation of its validity, but also, changed the game up. This wasn't for just the mom and pop entrepreneur trying to build a family business. And certainly that's kind of expanded. And now what you see, and you're dead right, and kind of your assumption there is you're seeing kind of a changing of the guard, where you had the old regime that were basically the pioneers, the founders of a lot of these businesses that just, frankly, had the guts to go out there and do this thing that's still federally illegal, that was super gray for a long time in a lot of these markets. And now a lot of that risk is gone. So, I know a lot of people are like, I can't believe some of these valuations that these guys are getting for some of these businesses. But you got to remember, a lot of these folks took big risks once upon a time, getting raided, not knowing if the feds or your state law enforcement was going to come in and, either take your money or take you to jail. So there was a big risk. And it seems like a lifetime ago now that was the case, especially with, now it's, boardrooms and stock markets. And it's just a very different thing that it used to be, but it's still all around and predicated on, this amazing plant. So your second part of the question, what is Slang? Slang's the leading CPG company in the cannabis space. And CPG, for those that don't know, is consumer packaged goods. So basically what we endeavor to do is win in things like branded unit sales, branded servings, market penetration, market share. We want to provide finished goods to dispensaries really everywhere that we're at. So we're in 13 states, also Canada and Puerto Rico. And we create brands, and we create branded products under those in that house of brands. And then they're purveyed. So we sell flour, we sell concentrates, we sell vape pens, we sell gummies, we sell chocolate, we sell pressed pills. We make almost 100 different things, but we don't own retail. And in most of our markets, we're doing that through a partnership with somebody else. So, we sell a product somewhere in the world about every 3 or 4 seconds. So certainly is a far cry from what it was once upon a time. But the short answer is that, we make finished goods and we wholesale those to dispensaries. We either do that ourselves in our core markets of Colorado and Oregon, or we do that via partnership agreements in our other 13 markets that we exist in.
Yeah, and you have a ton of different partnerships. It's interesting to me. I think a lot of times when people look at a stock like yours, it's trading at, I think 33 cents. It's cheap. And to me, it just seems like you're with the right company, which it seems like you guys are the real deal. I know one of your partners, had a really successful exit. Just seems like a massive opportunity. But that's like the biggest challenge. Like I was saying, like you just don't know who you're getting in with. Even some of the bigger companies that I was following, some of the insiders were making millions and millions, making more than the company was making in a lot of senses. And so it's tough out here for an investor to, unless you really know the people, to feel confident a lot of times in what you're getting into. Cannabis specifically, in my opinion.
You bet, man. There's a lot of charlatans out there. There's a lot of snake oil out there, particularly early on. You've seen a big kind of flushing out. A lot of people talk about the green rush. We talk about the green flush. The glory days of coming in and these Star Wars valuations. And you mentioned it. I've been part of several companies and that we've built and made driven value in, and I've had several partners that have had massive multi tens of millions of dollar exits. So obviously that's benefited me and my family personally along the way. But I continue to do this because it's my passion, man. I get to wake up and live my dream every day. And every day is not a great day, but man, if you would have told me way back when that this is what I'd be doing for a living very well, being able to create something, build a company. When we came in to this, everybody really just had a passion for the plant and was just thrilled to be working in cannabis. And now that's changed, for a lot of these folks into, generational wealth building. And more importantly than that, a vehicle, a company that a lot of other people can now participate in. Slang has almost 10,000 shareholders. So, that we look at that as an extended family. We're all rallied around seeing this business become increasingly successful. And we're doing it the right way, man. We're taking our time. We're focused on things like getting ourselves to consolidated profitability on a consistent basis, spinning off positive cash flow, actually making a buck. And it's, that's a little bit of an anomaly sometimes in cannabis, particularly with a lot of these large firms that, especially up in Canada, continue to have massive losses, but they're just playing a different game than we are. So for us, we want to continue to expand markets, continue to develop world-class products and brands, and continue to work with the best in the business. And over time, it is our conviction, it is our belief that brand-based businesses, that CPG-focused companies, generally, if you look at mainstream industries, have a higher multiple than their retail, their brick and mortar, or their distribution counterparts. So I believe that the same thing will hold true here, and it's a matter of time. But we're not going anywhere. We're not here to make a quick buck. We're here to be the best cannabis company in 50 years, not tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great. You got to have that long-term mindset. So you guys are essentially creating your own brands, and
we got 6 of them.
Yeah, I was looking at them on the website, and got some big partnerships in different states. Is that's a whole different part of the business? Like when you have the exclusive rights to sell. I think you have exclusive rights to sell cookies in a certain state. Is that correct?
In a couple states, Oregon and Colorado? Cookies has been great. Obviously, one of the most recognizable, if not the most recognizable, flower brand in the country. Berner, Parker, and that whole crew have done a fabulous job. Just a tremendous brand, and it's become kind of a lifestyle movement. But yeah, for us, it's really interesting because for a long time, and you hit the nail on the head, people didn't really understand our business. And so they didn't really know how to value us. We had a meteoric rise up to almost $1 billion market cap. Then we had an absolute, free fall in 2019 down to probably a $30 or $40 million market cap. And we don't get lost in the noise. We know what we're doing underneath. We know what's happening behind the curtain. We're confident in what we do. And you've seen that. We're now delivering, a positive EBITDA quarter for the first time in Q3. We continue to expand markets. We're going into California, Michigan, and Massachusetts this year. We continue to develop new products that people love. Live resin cartridges are some of our newest, latest, greatest. And then last but not least, as you mentioned, is strategic partnerships. And we work with literally some of the best of the best of the best, whether that's Trulieve, whether that's Canopy, whether that's Cookies, whether that's Gage in Michigan. So it's really fascinating to me because what once was kind of our Achilles heel of, I don't get it. You're selling something every 4 seconds, but the revenue profile, the margins don't match up with, what that kind of volume of sales. I don't understand. And when an investor doesn't understand, typically they don't invest. And now that same, that what we do has become very in vogue in cannabis. Everybody talks about brands and CPG and, kind of all the things that we've been talking about now for the better part of 10 years. So very, very, I guess validating in a lot of ways. But the reason those companies seek us out, the reason we do such good business with somebody like a Trulieve or a Cookies is they understand the value that we bring to the equation. We are excellent at developing brands, putting processes in place that allow you to make these products in an extremely efficient way that deliver profit to those companies. And we have massive distribution. I mean, to my knowledge, I think we're the largest cannabis distributor in the world by number of stores that we're in. We've got products in over 4,000 retail doors, whether that's a head shop that's selling, a battery or our dry herb vaporizer, whether that's a natural food store that's selling our CBD gummies. And then, of course, we also sell to a network of, 1,100 dispensaries across the continent. So, that kind of reach, distribution, and influence on the consumer, obviously people are finding that valuable, and they're right.
So, go ahead. Let me hop in. I've got a few questions. So y'all own these brands? You said it was 7, right?
6. So it's Lunchbox Alchemy, which is our premium edibles brand. Also, they make CBD gummies. It's Open. Open is the second best-selling cannabis brand of all time, period, of anything. By BDS Stack Rankings, which is analytical service in our industry. Baked concentrates, which is just basically innovative ways to dab concentrates. Press pills, which is a press pill, functionally enhanced, help you sleep, help you, give you energy, help you focus, etc. District Edibles, which is our value edibles brand, makes gummies and chocolate. And then last but not least is Firefly. So Firefly is an ultra premium, started as a dry herb vaporizer, which is being sold all around the world, literally, in dozens of countries. It's one of the best-selling dry herb vaporizers on the planet. And then what we've done recently with Firefly is brought that technology and that, sexiness, that sleek form factor, and brought that into a disposable vape pen, which is, one of the best-selling vape pens here in Colorado in the disposable category.
Got it. So y'all own those brands, but for
Right.
brands like Cookies or Trulieve, y'all partner with them and they utilize you guys strictly for the fact that y'all are very strong in your branding and you're very strong in getting these brands into the retail stores or selling them wholesale to the retail?
In the Cookies case, yes. So Cookies is a little bit, they're both strategic partnerships, but, Cookies came to us because they said, hey, we're going to be launching products. So they work with a cultivator or they work with, whoever they work with in a given state. But then they look to us to help with distribution because they know, in Oregon, I'm in almost 400 stores. In Colorado, we're in almost 300. Just, we're in 700 dispensaries just between those two states. So a company wanting to come into one of those two states, which are both our core markets, they're generally going to want to do it one of two ways. Either you want to do it all yourself, and I'm going to build the machine, brick by brick myself and do it all. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of money, and that involves a lot of risk, because who's to say, does your product, is it a flop? Is it a success? And then how long is it before you're going to be in 300 or 400 stores in those places? So case in point, when we started working with Cookies in Colorado, I put them into over 100 stores inside of 60 days. So, you just can't, It's really difficult to replicate what we do. But again, we've been doing it a long time. So we don't own the Cookies brand. We don't grow Cookies cannabis, but we do make sure that that gets out to the masses. And we do that in obviously a very effective way.
Yeah, and I mean that's a huge value add, especially for these quality brands that don't have distribution in place. They can call you, and you can make a few phone calls within a matter of a month or two, and get them into 100+ stores.
Well, and it's mutually beneficial too, right, Alex? I mean, look, of course, people love cookies. It's great flour. They make good concentrates. Like, man, cookies is great. But there's also a tag along effect both ways, right? So for Open's the number one selling vape pen in Colorado, period, full stop, and has been ever since they've been keeping score. In fact, I think we're near double the next closest competitor. And it's one of the largest categories, obviously, in cannabis. And so for us, great, I've got Open in hundreds and hundreds of stores in Colorado. So it's an easy sell to get cookies alongside of that, particularly with their vape pens and their flour. But the opposite's true as well, right? There's several hundred more stores in Colorado that we're not in. Oh man, I really want to get this cookies product. Well, guess what other products you're going to put on yourself if you want cookies? So it's a little bit vice versa, that it's mutually beneficial. But the bottom line is, you're right. They're getting something of value out of the relationship. We're getting something of value out of the relationship. And it's not competitive to what I do. It's additional revenue. It's not cannibalizing something else. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Right. I think that's really interesting. And I think it's a great value add, and something that y'all focused on is that distribution aspect of it, because the doors are open to many business opportunities solely for that factor right there. And then, like you said, it mutually benefits all of the other companies that you're partnered with, or your own brands, to get them into the stores as well.
That's right.
Do you, so with these brands and the distribution aspect, I guess it's really kind of two focuses, right? Like the brand and the marketing, and then, setting up the distribution infrastructure in place to be able to get these brands into the retail, or to have these retail, buy wholesale from you guys. More on the brand side of it, are y'all out seeking brands to acquire? Are y'all ever going to maybe license out your brands? What would be the brand strategy on growing that side of the business?
Well, it's kind of all of the above. Generally, we've developed our own brands. We've certainly acquired brands like Lunchbox Alchemy and Firefly. Technically, Slang has acquired all of these things, right? Even I say, there are brands because I was part of the legacy company that Slang acquired in 2019. But generally speaking, we develop those things internally. So every now and then it'll make sense for us to go buy something. In the case of Lunchbox Alchemy, they were in 200 or 300 stores in Oregon. They've got a facility out in Bend, which is one of the best towns in America, but a purpose-built, facility that is first class, world class even, to produce edibles and concentrates. So you got the distribution, and we picked up a great brand with Lunchbox Alchemy. Their gummies, their hard candies, all their products, super well known in the Oregon market. And of course, we're going to now take that show on the road and take Lunchbox outside of Oregon. They had a thriving CBD business. So just checked off a lot of boxes of why I would want to buy that brand. We already license our brand. So in the 13 states, the 11 states, Canada and Puerto Rico, I'm not physically making the product there. We do that in Oregon and Colorado. Everywhere, and we call those core markets. Everywhere else, we call that an emerging market. And so Florida, for example, is a great example with TrueLeaf. We basically enter into a strategic partnership with TrueLeaf, whereby they buy the packaging, the hardware, all of the stuff to make our products other than the cannabis. We, of course, work with them very closely on SOP and just how my products are made. And making sure that they're up to snuff, and they do a fabulous job of that. And then further to that, and so we get paid for that, obviously. And then further to that, we help those products sell through their dispensaries. We've got people, boots on the ground in the floor to market. Our VP of marketing, who is just an absolute beast, a young lady named Brittany Hallett, but is down there in Tampa. Another young lady, Celia, basically goes through their dispensaries, works with their team to make sure that these products are selling through, that the velocities are increasing, that we're able to put more products into their stores. They've got 70 dispensaries. They are the absolute 900-pound gorillas in the room in Florida and really beyond. They're the most profitable cannabis company on the planet. So obviously Kim and her team are doing something right. But the reason we make such sweet music together is we understand the value each other brings to the relationship. And they do a great job of producing our products, and we do a great job of enhancing the sale of those products through her dispensary. So it's just been one of our best partnerships.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's really interesting. I've got one more question to let Matt hop right back in. Just on the branding side of things, obviously y'all are doing an amazing job there. What have you found, if you could simplify it as much as possible, the one reason why y'all are so good at branding, and how could another company, even, in real estate or in whatever somebody's doing, really focus in on their brand and be able to establish, a name brand like y'all have been able to do so?
I mean, it's a handful of stuff, and a couple of them, a couple of things I'm going to tell you just aren't magic. One of it's get on your grind, man. What's your hustle look like? We've been doing this for 10 years. So, yeah, it's great now. And, we've got all these kind of accolades and due to our size and the scope of our offering and obviously the performance of our products. But that wasn't always the case. To be honest with both of you guys, our business almost failed in the first couple of years. From 2010 to 2012. We were producing oil in the oldest and longest continuously licensed and operated CO2 extraction facility in the country, down the hill in Denver, Colorado, still running to this day. And it was an abject failure. The oil was black. It failed 40% of the time. People didn't know what the hell CO2 oil was 10 years ago. You had hash, maybe a handful of really elementary edibles in a medical dispensary, and flower was 95% of the market. So we really had to create a new category and open, once we figured out the technology, the science, the Asian supply chain, these kinds of things. A start was born, and we caught lightning in a bottle, and that was our big opportunity. But we've also made a habit of zigging when everyone else is zagging. So for instance, when we had this lightning in a bottle product in 2012 with Open, the first time, and you guys probably know, the first time somebody ever handed you a cannabis vape pen, it was just like, whoa, this is awesome. You can't smell it. It evaporates almost immediately. Like, I can do this literally almost anywhere. And that just didn't exist before. And we were the first people to mass, produce and scale that. But rather than say, okay, great, what's the next product we're going to put into our fortress here in Colorado? We took the show on the road. When other people were saying, hey, now I'm going to make an edible or a drink or a whatever, we said, no, let's take this product and go open up licensed partnerships outside of Colorado. And our belief was, brands come and go, products live and die. It's, that's kind of the consumer is very fickle. They like what they like and they're on to the next thing, particularly now. So you've constantly got to be on top of what does the consumer demanding? How are you innovating? And by us going and opening up all these relationships across the country and really across the world, that allowed a platform for us to continuously plug more things into, whether it was a gummy or whether that was live resin or whatever the case may be. That was the big thing. And then last but not least, how are you differentiating yourself? At its height in 2016 in Colorado, when everybody, money was falling from the sky, I think there were 155 vape pen brands, 155. Open was number one then. It was number one before then. It's still number one today by a pretty damn wide margin. We've had people come in from the outside and people tell us, oh, we're going to take that spot, this, that, and the other. And they haven't. And it really boils down to a handful of things. A, we have excellent relationship with our dispensary partners. We're not in retail. We're not a threat to anybody. I want to ride shotgun with every dispensary owner in the country. That a lot of these guys have their own house brands and their own ambitions, and we simply are helping and supplementing what they're already doing and putting money in their pocket. Two, as you mentioned, our marketing and product teams put together a world-class product that's wrapped up in a world-class brand. And constantly our sales team just does things that other people don't do. We have a really robust inside sales team in Denver that's just an absolute machine. that's teeing up appointments and able to just canvas the continent, because they're making calls. We've got infield account executives, business development reps, managers that are just consummate professionals at what they do, driving relationships, and more than anything, making sure people understand what are the key differentiators. So like I said, there were 155 vape pen brands in Colorado in 2016. Now I think there's maybe 40 or 50. So you can see the big flush of went out, and we're still on top of that mountain. And it really is a team effort that wraps up the brand, the product, and the people. And when you put those three things together and you get that right, a star is born.
That's pretty cool, man. It's pretty simple that, the thought is show up, put in the hustle, be creative. I love what you said the other day, the best ability.
Damn right, baby, is availability. It's old coach talk, obviously.
And that's what I want to do. So we only have about 7 minutes. I know you got some stuff going on too, but I want to give you a couple part question, and then we got a little football thing at the end that I'm thinking of.
Come on, my man.
So one of our favorite questions is, do you partake? I think that's obvious. You enjoy it.
Of course.
So would love to talk about Texas, how you view Texas. And I know it's kind of, for a lot of people, it's not even on their mind because it seems so far out. And then how people, ourselves included, can be ahead of the game, because we love this industry. I want to be in Texas. But like, what can we be doing to add value for guys like yourself? How do you view Texas? If you could maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the first answer is, of course, I've consumed. I have now for, coming up on 3 decades. So, and still do to this day. And generally that's how I wind down after work. So very much consume in a lot of different forms and in a lot of different situations. I love this plant. So obviously that includes consuming it in all its beautiful varieties. Texas, that's where I'm from, man. That's the motherland. And it's really unfortunate in a lot of ways of what happens down there politically. You don't have citizen introduced ballot initiatives. In most states, I can go collect signatures, and if I get enough signatures in a certain amount of time, it'll be on the ballot, and then it goes to the people to decide, and it either passes or it doesn't pass. Texas doesn't have that, so it's got to be introduced by the legislator. And as usual, politics pervert the people, and as we've seen over the last few days, that it's been in a lot of ways political suicide for somebody to step up there in Austin and say, no, we're going to bring this to the floor, because it gets killed in committee. It's, and Texas is slowly changing. For those that don't know, Texas is becoming more purple. It's still very much red in a lot of ways, but here's the dirty little secret. And I'm friends with a lot of politicians in Texas. Texas polls at like 68, 70% approval for legalization. So they know damn well that makes it to the ballot. It's going down. I also will tell you, look, I get high with some Republican politicians, it's so funny down there in particular, because there's this persona we've got to put out to the world, but yet internally, you may have different feelings personally. But I would encourage Texas politicians in particular, what an opportunity for Texas to lead the business climate, just everything that happens down there until you say it's cannabis is tailor-made for the cannabis industry, a pioneering independent spirit, a fiercely pro-business environment. Texans are built on being pioneers. And that's what this industry is about. So it's a shame that the politicians are throttling that, and they put together their little bill and their CBD and intractable epilepsy. And man, that's a sham. It's unfortunate, because the minute that beast of Texas gets awakened and gets to participate in this great industry, they're going to be a leader. There's no doubt. It's the second most populated state. It's the second largest state. And it's set up to be pro-business. So I absolutely expect that to hold true for cannabis as well. We just need some of these politicians in Austin to get over themselves. And look, I say this all the time. It's outside of maybe ice cream, what is more popular than cannabis? And that's everywhere. Look at this past election cycle. You had Mississippi Mississippi is more progressive than you on cannabis. Mississippi.
Come on.
Shame on Texas for that. South Dakota just passed, just jumped in. Now I've got the Republican governor up there trying to thwart that, which is nonsense. The people voted for it. So even if you may not be down for it, that is the will of the people. So it's just a matter of time. But I do fully expect that once Texas goes live, it's going to be a sight to behold.
That's really good, man. And we got this Zoom that we got that's timed. So we literally got 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh man, I got to talk less then.
So no, you're good. You're good. Hey, this is what I want to do. We got a lot of entrepreneurs, business people. We'd love to do this again sometime. Appreciate your energy. Football coach mode, man. Put you on the spot. Like
I'm
give us
always in that mode.
give us some motivation on just business. People that are trying to break in. That are I know yourself. You said this is a dream. Like you never imagined maybe being a CEO, but now you're here, and that led to hard work. Like we're in the fourth quarter, man. We got literally 2 minutes. Can you give us a little football motivation for entrepreneurs?
You bet, man. 2-minute drill. Let's move the rock down the gridiron. First and foremost, work hard, never quit. I literally propagandize my kids with that, and that applies to anything you do in life. When you find your dream, your passion, you go get it with reckless abandon. Go make your dreams come true. Manifest your destiny. Ain't nobody going to do it but yourself, so go bust your ass for your dreams, whatever those dreams may be. 2, find your path. Cannabis, just saying I want to be in cannabis can be anything from real estate to cultivation to technology to processing to there's a million different avenues to get in. And I would encourage people to find their path and really get, I got a good buddy that owns a dispensary here. He talks about being an inch wide and a mile deep. You can't be the master of everything. You can't be the jack of all trades. So find your passion, find your skill set, and go after that with reckless abandon. And last but not least, man, you're going to fail, a million times. You get knocked down a million, get up. I know that's cliche, but it's, success isn't built in a day. And so you got to keep taking those failures, and every no is one step closer to that yes. So go out there and make your dreams come true. It's out there. You just got to go get it.
Love it, man. Love it. 4th and 1, Super Bowl. What play are you running? You're on offense.
4th, it obviously depends on your personnel. I'll tell you what, if I was Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl, I'm damn sure handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch again, not trying to throw some slant, getting it picked off by Malcolm Butler all the way back. So for me, I'm a ground and pound guy, man. You got to leverage the strengths of your team. But if it's 4th and 1 and we're on the goal line, man, let's line up. I'm getting that yard in a cloud of dust. We're going to play smash mouth football and punch you right in the mouth. We're running doggies left to the end zone, and the trail runs right over your ass.
Let's go, baby. Hey, thank you. We appreciate it, man. This is a pleasure and honor. Slang worldwide. Guys, check them out. Chris, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.